You're listening to Zap Night's Zap Chats, a monthly video game discussion. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Zap Chats for August. I'm your host, Danny.
And I'm your co-host, Kaylie.
So August is here.
Yay!
We've gotten through, July's podcast. Well, I guess we play the games in the month prior, and then we talk about them for the first of that month. So, like, August 1st, we reviewed Chrono Trigger, and we played it through July. Anyway, we got through that. If you guys are interested in the Chrono Trigger full podcast episode, you can check that out. But it's just, I don't know. It's funny how the games just keep, like, going and going and going, you know. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of playing Elebits.
Super cute.
Yeah, we're actually playing that one together, which is different for us. I mean, we haven't done that in a while.
Thanks, COVID.
I mean, typically what we do is we play the same game, but, like, you play it at home and I play it at home, and we just play it
Get our own experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Where Elebits we're playing as a team and just kind of trading off and, you know, playing together. And I like that experience.
Yeah.
I like that dynamic. I guess the last time I did that was when Shannon was on the podcast. We did Oddworld.
Oh yeah.
That was fun. But yeah, no, Elebits has been going pretty good. We've only got 4 hours under our belt, something like that. We were gonna try and play again tonight. We'll see how much we get done. But I mean, we're on track to beating it. It's only supposed to be like an 8-hour game.
Yeah.
So, you know, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. We'll definitely have it done by the end of the month to do that review. But I did want to say that we're going to be starting Final Fantasy X very soon.
Yay!
The plan is right now that we're going to beat Elebits and then start Final Fantasy X through the month of September. So then it'll be October 1st podcast episode. I'll probably start streaming it within the next week or two. So if you guys are interested in that, check out our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/ZapNight.
And it's hard to believe it. The 15th, always. I'm sure we've said this like the last 5 Zap Chats. It's just, the 15th just sneaks up so quickly because the first rolls around, we finish a game, and it's like, all right, we've got time. And the next thing you know, it's Zap Chats. I'm like, that means the month is half over.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I have been taking the past couple weeks off from streaming, which has been nice. But I'm getting that antsy feeling to get back into it and start Final Fantasy X. I'm excited. I get that, like, the Final Fantasy X battle music stuck in my head a lot, and it's like, ooh, I'm excited. I'm ready.
That's how I feel about Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
I don't know why that battle music always is stuck in my head. That's like my default.
I know. Freaking Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger, by the way, and a spoiler alert for those of you who haven't listened to the Chrono Trigger podcast, do that. But Chrono Trigger is our first game to get a perfect score.
Yay!
In the 5 years that we've been playing video games and reviewing them, Chrono Trigger is the first one to get a perfect score. And it's so deserving of a perfect score. It was almost not, because you changed it kind of at the last minute, and I was surprised you did, because I kind of thought that we were gonna have to duke it out a little bit. But
I think, to be fair, it's one of those things where you get to a certain point where it's like, surely this couldn't be a perfect game, so you start picking apart. But then the other person kind of was like, but really, it is perfect, isn't it? I'm like, it is perfect.
It's really just, you know, I guess it depends on the perspective you're coming at it, you know. If you're I said this during the podcast too, if you're an RPG fan, this is like as perfect as it gets. I mean, for the Super Nintendo era, I mean, it's not...
It's a classic,
for the time that it came out, there's no way it's going to get any better than that. But, I mean, obviously, it gets a little bit better, you know, graphically as the time has gone on. But there's a catch to that. Like, yeah, the graphics now are really good, but the better the graphics, the more you're going to see those flaws.
Yeah.
So games like Final Fantasy 15 and Horizon Zero Dawn. Beautiful games. Very, very awesome stories. Very little to pick at. But when it comes to being graphically perfect, there's a lot to notice. There's a lot that stands out. And, when you're looking at games like that because they're so realistic, they're so enhanced. When you have something that's not quite right, it's really obvious.
But
you don't get that with Chrono Trigger.
The nice thing is nowadays is Chrono Trigger's graphics, while not, back then that was the limit. We can look at graphics as a art style, and Chrono Trigger still would hold up because that is a style.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I could see if Chrono Trigger was developed now and released as is, it would still hold up as a phenomenal game.
It's been ported to so many different things already.
Well, I just mean as far as like...
Well, I mean, it's just people are still playing it.
Right, and I know. I just mean as far as like if it was released more like how the indie games are released, if it was released now, kind of like an indie game, where it's just this like digital only, slide it under the rug, here's this random game that we developed, it would still be a phenomenal game just because of what it is. Like, it's just...
Oh, yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just done really, really well.
Well, look at Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Simplistic graphics. People love that game.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that game. So, like, the graphics, the simplistic style, if you will, it works right now.
Yeah, it does. I think a lot of people our age are nostalgic for that era too. So you've got a lot of people developing for that era just because that's what the buying market wants to see. So it's an easy sell because it's got that nostalgia to it just in the graphics alone. Speaking of Chrono Trigger,
had a North America
release, had a birthday,
August 11th, 1995. So
yeah.
26, 25? 26? I don't know. I can't mentally math. I need paper.
95, 2000, 2005, 2010, 2015, 2020. That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. And then 6, 7. So 27 years.
Wow.
Sorry, that was a terrible way of doing. I can't just pull those numbers out of my head.
You also need paper to...
Yeah, exactly. I had to use my fingers and toes on that one. So yeah, that's kind of neat. I did buy... Did we talk about it on the podcast?
I think we did a little bit.
I did buy the Chrono Trigger Crimson
Wave?
Crimson Echoes.
Oh.
Crimson Wave. Kaylie!
I'm so sorry. Can you take that out?
Nope. I'm not gonna bother.
As soon as it left my mouth, I'm like, no.
No, it's called Chrono Trigger Crimson Echoes. And it's a fan developed game. It's using the exact same it's basically a ROM hack for... I mean, literally, that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's like they took the original game and just designed more character development to try and merge the timeline of Chrono Trigger with the timeline of Chrono Cross.
Which we need to play, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. Oh, yeah, we did talk about it because we were saying if people had other ROM hacks they wanted to see us play. Yeah, let us know if there's other ROM hacks. I know there's a ton of Pokemon ROM hacks.
Yeah.
If there's some really good ones, I want to know about them, and I want to try them out. But I do think that this will be fun. I think now that I have a copy of it, we should be able to sit down and review it together.
The real question is, should we do that one before or after Chrono Cross? Chrono Cross is a good game.
Probably before Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah. I mean... I think I wouldn't start it up anytime soon, but maybe after, I don't know, after Final Fantasy 11 or 12 or something like that. In the future, but
next year for sure.
Not super far away. I would like to try it out. Yeah, it's cool stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And Chrono Cross is a really good game. I've never actually finished Chrono Cross.
Oh, it's to be fair, not as good as Chrono Trigger, but still the music is brilliant.
Yeah, the music is really good. The graphics are really good. The like art style, the character design.
Very interesting. Well, it is kind of an interesting game. Yeah. I'm excited to see how we'll review that one with the like different paths you can choose.
I'm just excited to play it. Period. Just because I've never finished it. I've started it so many times and I just never finished it. I've talked about this before. Before the podcast, I played all the Final Fantasy games, and with the Final Fantasy games, I played like Chrono Trigger and I started Chrono Cross. Literally, while playing Chrono Cross, we decided to start the podcast. So I'm like, well, why am I going to finish Chrono Cross when I'm just going to play Chrono Cross for the podcast?
I remember this conversation, actually, because I was just thinking, man, it seems like I remember you telling me you hadn't beat Chrono Cross, and it seems like it wasn't that long ago you were playing it, but it couldn't have been because we'd been doing the podcast.
That's exactly it. So funny. I was literally in the middle of playing it, and I'm like, you know what? I need to stop because I want to play it for the podcast. Yeah. So, it's
been a long time.
It's been 5 years since we've done that. But, it's one that needs to be finished for me. As a personal adventure, I need to finish this game. It's funny because the times that I've tried playing it, I feel like I just got stuck somewhere each time that I've gotten so far, and then I just kind of get stuck, and then I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do, and then I just drop it. And I think the furthest I've gotten was maybe disc 2, and that was about it. Like, I got to disc 2, and that was it. Maybe not even. I don't know.
It gets more complicated, I think, at the second half of the game.
I definitely notice while streaming, I absorb the games a little better, too.
Oh, really?
I think it's just because I'm so focused. When I'm sitting down and streaming, the whole point is I'm sitting here playing this game. I'm not doing anything else. My focus is on playing this game for the content of me playing this game. So if there's people jumping in, they just see me playing this game. I'm not like off watching TV in the background, I'm just playing the game. Whereas that's kind of how I was playing it before. How I was playing the Final Fantasy series before we started the podcast. I would just like flip it on my handheld, on my PSP or whatever, and just like play for a little while watching TV, and then set it down and play for a little bit.
It's easy to get lost.
It's easy to get lost. It's easy to not concentrate on the story. It's easy to put down and forget about for 2-3 weeks, months. So, and then by the time you want to get back to it, it's like completely different, or it's not, you don't remember where you're at.
Story time. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. Twilight Princess. I get so much crap for this. I spent 80 hours on this game. I had gotten all the fish, gotten all the bugs, did all of the side quests.
Had to fight the boss.
I made it all the way just before the final boss. My husband booted up the game for me. He's like, I just want to see where you were before you dropped it off. Because, like, I got to that point, thought I would fight the boss. I didn't even try. Like, it wasn't even like I died and put it down. Didn't even try, put it down, and I never went back. I was right there at the very end. 80 hours. Right at the end of the boss, put it down and never picked it up. Years had passed.
Well, that's one of those games that we'll have to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for that one.
That one, I have another
Zelda
one.
games that we really should play.
We haven't played, like, hardly any. I think we have...
Skyward Sword, right?
No.
No? You didn't play Skyward Sword?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, we did a review for. The remake on the Switch that just came out. I can't... Words are failing me.
Talking about Skyward Sword?
No. The handheld one. The one that came out for the Game Boy. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it. It's not Link's Awakening. It's I don't know. Anyway, it's that one, the one that they just redid on the Switch. I played that one. We reviewed that one. Not us. It was with Jinx. And then Seth and Evan reviewed Wind Waker.
So it's our turn to... it's my turn.
So yeah, you definitely need to pick one up, and that would be a good one. I've heard great things about Twilight Princess. I really want to play and finish Ocarina of Time.
Oh yeah,
I've played it several times, but I've never finished it.
Brandon would love to play that with you.
Yeah. And there's so many ways to play that game now. Like you can play it you can play the original. I think they did a port to it on the GameCube. They've done several ports on like the handhelds. So I mean, it's out there. It's available. I just need to play it.
I'd be interested in watching Majora's Mask too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's a great series. Like, it never really was in our scope of games to play, but like, it is a really good series.
I think that has to do with the way we grew up too. I mean, we were very focused on the Final Fantasy series and not so much on Nintendo as a whole. Like after the Super Nintendo, we really didn't play much Nintendo stuff. Growing up, it was all focused on Final Fantasy and the new Final Fantasy stuff. So, you know, the Zelda series got swept under the rug a little bit,
which is too bad.
Yeah, it is. I honestly, it's hard when you grow up. You get so single-minded on one genre or one series that, you know, when you grow up and you realize you've missed out on all these other games. I feel that way with Resident Evil. Like, when I grew up, I wasn't looking at Resident Evil because I'm like, oh, it's just a scary, it's like a scary movie. It's just a scary video game. Like, I don't care. But now, having gone back and revisited those games, I love those games now, and like I want to keep playing them. So, you know, I'm finding, you know, having done the podcast now, I'm finding these genres and these game series that I love and wish I had experienced them when they were released.
Have you, from when you were little till now, ever had a game where you played and just turned it off because you hated it? For whatever reason. You just did not like it. Just couldn't vibe with it.
Yes, and I think you know which one it is. No?
Do you?
Yes. It's on... I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull the name out of my head. It's on the PS2. It's that, like, music RPG one.
Ephemeral Fantasia.
Yes! Yeah, that's the one! Literally, I put that in. I played, like... maybe an hour's worth, and I'm like, this is garbage. Like, this isn't
really?
at all what I was expecting it to be, and I turned it off and sold it. I've bought it. I've rebought it recently, and I would like to give that game a shot. I think the other one that I feel that way about is Dark Cloud. Because for whatever reason, I thought that it was going to have something to do with Final Fantasy VII, and it wasn't at all. Kid. It wasn't at all. So yeah,
I played a game called Phantom Brave, and it had Disgaea's like art style on it. I don't even remember what it was about. I think the battle system was just like I was playing it. I was like, this is not for me, and then I turned it off and sold it like the following day or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ephemeral Fantasia. Oh, there was Xenogears.
I never played Xenogears.
Oh no, Xenosaga. My bad.
I did get really far in Xenosaga. That's a PS2.
Yeah.
And it was not bad. It was a little clunky. The battle system's a little strange. But, I mean, that's another one that I would love to pick up. It's kind of up there with Artanelico, where, like, they have this series of games that were released for it. And, like, the first couple are not terrible to find, but, like, the last one's terrible. Oh, no. Not Artanelico. .hack.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the first couple are not too hard to find. The last one is, like, impossible. And, I mean, if we were to play that series, we probably would have to do some sort of, like, play a ROM or emulate it in some way. Like, it's one of those things, like, there's no way we're going to get a copy of that unless we pay, you know, buku bucks to try and get this game that we're going to play once and then just turn around and sell it again. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth $300 as a renting fee.
Yeah. Yeah. We really should tackle these games that we like. A lot of those games we were just so young.
Yeah.
And
I think we're getting to that point now in the podcast where we've kind of gotten...
We got everything out of our system.
A lot of the nostalgia out of the way. We've done, like Cool Spot and Donkey Kong Country and the Super Mario games, the Final Fantasy games. We've gotten a lot of those out of the way. Granted, we're still working on the Final Fantasy series.
Yeah.
We're not going to stop. Literally, I think we're never going to stop the Final Fantasy series just because there's so many games outside of the main series. There's so many like spin-offs that we can pick up and play. Mystic Quest. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is... I beat it. It's not a great game. It's not a great game. But I would be curious to see your feelings on Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. It's beatable. It's not like really hard or anything. It's just... It's a grind.
Oh, I hate that.
It's a grind.
That's hard. It's hard playing those kinds of... I'm sure there's
is.
people out there who really like that kind of stuff, but...
I don't think anyone likes Mystic Quest. I'm pretty sure everyone hates it.
I can't wait to play it.
It was like... It came out in that, like, Chrono Trigger era, and it was just bad. Like, everything about it is bad. And other than the music, I think the music is fantastic, but like everything else is bad.
I'll be curious to compare it with Final Fantasy 1, the one game that I swear broke me. I remember playing Final Fantasy 1 and thinking, I don't know if I can do the podcast anymore. Like, I don't think I can.
And that was only like episode 5
I know.
or something like that.
I was in there and I was like, I don't think I can. I don't know if this is gonna work. Like. Oh man, you couldn't pay me to play that game. Well, I guess you could pay me to play that. I did it, so I don't know. That was
good times.
Some games, yeah.
Yeah. What else? Final Fantasy IX is coming out with a TV show.
Yeah, an animated series for children. Their target audience is like 8 to 13 or something like that.
So like, with that audience in mind, and from what I've heard of the studio that's doing it, like the stuff they've done before, the art style is very weird.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see what this is going to look like. I mean, right now there's nothing like concrete other than we're going to be producing it soon. But, like, it's not even in production yet, so I'm not going to hold my breath until I see it.
I did a quick search. I don't know if it was thorough, but I didn't see anything that they had made that I was familiar with. But I was thinking about how for a target audience, for a younger targeted audience, Final Fantasy IX is a good series.
I don't know, like, Final Fantasy IX tackles some deep... stuff.
I agree, but I think there's a lot of comedic humor that think they can get over.
And like the art style of Final Fantasy IX is like fun, and I can see that targeted toward. But like some of the like deeper story plots are kind of dark. Vivi trying to figure out why he's even alive. Like I don't know. It's just.
But I thought about Avatar: The Last Airbender was targeted for young kids, and they had some darker themes. I don't know if you've seen all of them, but
I haven't finished it.
It is kind of a serious thing, but has a lot of humor on the side. And I think Final Fantasy IX, I kept comparing it with Avatar for some reason, but I kept thinking, for this storyline, I can see where they can make it work. Mm. And I thought, the other thing that I was thinking about, if you don't mind me segueing a little bit.
No, go for it.
What would the show be about? Like, would it be a retelling? Would it be focused on like just like the Tantalus trope, the like just Muggles or something, like the Magnet Central stuff, or like what happened after the game, or just the only thing I do not want is for them to just make new characters and have it in that world and just have small cameos. I do not want that at all. I don't even care, because they could destroy the storyline, which would suck, but it's just a kid's a kids film or show, but like, I don't mind if like the art style is a little wonky or something. Like, it's just I think if it's all for fun, it's whatever then. But I don't want it just to be, here's a cameo of this character and then that's the series with the rest of their new characters.
I guess for me, I would be more offended if it turns into like every episode is just like Zidane and friends going off saving the world in like a different way. You know, I wanted to actually tell a story through the whole series and not just this like, you know, episode 1, Zidane fights monsters. Episode 2, Zidane finds Vivi and fights monsters. Episode number 3, Zidane and Dagger fight monsters. It's like, you know, I don't want it to be that like the 90s vibe of TV shows at the time.
You want there to be like each episode correlates to each other, not just as a new part of a series. But it's gonna be hard because you can't imagine that while I would love for them to like take off what happened after the game, the kids aren't gonna know what happened of the game probably. So it's gonna be,
I'm sure, I really have a strong feeling that if they actually finish this thing, it'll probably just be Final Fantasy IX. Like the story of Final Fantasy IX.
But like,
it's just, it'll be weird to see how that is played out in a show.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot going on that happens in Final Fantasy IX that
and see,
it just seems weird I don't know.
I don't think they have a concrete amount of episodes, but can't imagine it's that long. So you really got to think. There's storylines they could go with, like Sir Frateley's story. You don't even know what happens to him in the game, and like that would be interesting to follow. I wouldn't want it. Don't get me wrong, but I can see where they would do.
It would just.
Like
it would probably be exactly like the game. There's one show, one episode that is just on like that
character.
Not really even that character. It would just be like, you know, each dungeon would have its own episode. Really, that's probably all it would be. Like, you know, episode 1 is, you know, escaping on the airship and crashing into the forest. Episode 2 is the forest. Episode 3 is the ice cave, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it would just go by dungeons, really.
Yeah.
Maybe you could squeeze, you know, 2 of them in per episode, and I mean, from that perspective, it wouldn't be terrible, because then every episode would be, oh, I made it to another city, and then we go to the next dungeon, and we are on the airship, and we go to the next dungeon. You know, I think it could work out that way.
You know how it is though. Like they're playing with something you really love, and I mean,
that's how I feel about if they were to ever remake Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Square Enix, I know that you listen to the podcast because you love listening to us. Square Enix, do not remake Chrono Trigger, because you're gonna screw it up. And the whole point of Chrono Trigger being amazing is its charm of the entirety. You try and remake it, and you're gonna lose all of that.
Instructions unclear. They've already made an animated series.
No!
There's our live action in the making.
Live action Chrono Trigger.
Oh man,
it might be fantastic. I don't know.
I doubt it. They're making a Avatar live action
They're trying again.
Series. Well, they're doing a series instead of a movie, and apparently I never even watched the movie, but apparently it was terrible. Either. But so was the Dragon Ball. So
I haven't seen that either. I would really like to.
Yeah.
I've kind of been toying with the thought of like watching a TV show and having that be like another podcast thing. I don't know.
Zap Night Watches.
Well, we did try to do that with the movies. We have like you may have to dig if you want to find these episodes. You might be able to find them in SoundCloud somewhere. But we did do like between 3 and 5 episodes of the movie podcast, where me and Lori went to the movies and watched the like latest movie. And that was fun, but like retelling the story was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Where I think if we, like, me and you or whatever, were to sit down and like watch part of a series and then sit down and kind of like, here's where we're at in the series and this is what we're going to talk about, and just kind of chit chat about like anime or Airbender or something. I don't know. It might be fun. I'm not saying that we're going to do this. I'm just, throwing this. This is kind of
a lot of work doing Zap Night as it is.
It is, yeah. Honestly, I mean, trying to keep up with it. I still have not made any more thrift shop game reviews.
Aww.
I know, and I'm angry at myself, but it's like, I kind of think, okay, I want to sit down and do this. And like, Lori's agreed to do it with me, but like, I get home from work and I'm like, no.
Next time.
And then like, I'm going to be starting the stream up again soon. And when I start streaming again, it's like, I only have like, I either am streaming or I'm just going to be chilling all the rest of the night. So it's like, I don't really want to throw it in there either. But the problem that I have is like, when I sit down and do those, I do like 3 or 4 at a time. So like, what's the big deal? Spend, 2 hours and play 3 or 4 thrift shop games. And then you have like, all those episodes that you can throw.
To be fair, you're wanting to dedicate 2 hours of your precious time playing terrible video games. Mary-Kate and Ashley, Danny, do you remember?
I remember.
It was one of the
video
first
evidence.
ones.
There's video evidence.
What's funny is we act like that was, and I probably was the worst game we had ever played. It's just so funny that it happened to be one of the first games we ever played. It was like, wow, this is terrible.
I think that was the fun of that, was when we were looking through the games. It's like Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Terrible? Yeah.
Mary-Kate and Ashley, it can't get worse than that. And nope, it doesn't. Some of them have been more boring than Mary-Kate and Ashley, but not worse.
There was like one, I can't even remember what it was, but it just seemed like it was very close to being just as bad. But there's some really bad games out there.
I need to do it. I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to get back into it. It's just tough to dedicate that much time to everything. There's another thing that the video where we walk through the game room has gone really well in the YouTube channel. So like, there's been a handful of people that I'm sure is listening to this now, like, oh yeah, I watched that and found you guys for that. Thank you, first off. But also, I've been kind of playing with the idea of going through like my PS2 collection and here's some of the highlights and just like digging a little deeper into what I have in my collection, not just like the overview of here's my game room, but like here's my handheld collection and here's some of the highlights. I think that would be fun, even if they're just small videos. I think that people might enjoy that. But if you guys have other ideas, something that you want to see about the game room, or really just like video YouTube stuff that you would like to see us try and figure out how to do, let us know and maybe we'll make it work.
We've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about.
We have so many like half ideas that are great and then we never follow through with them. Like, I have a whole bunch of VHSs. We're starting a VHS collection for some weird reason.
Why not?
And I would really like to stream some of them on the Discord channel. I just haven't, like, no real reason other than it's a lot of work to set up a VHS player. So, I mean, at some point, that would be something that I would like to try and do. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know, and maybe we'll make it happen.
Well, I think if people would let us know, we would actually probably follow through with it. Because that's the thing. It starts at half ideas, but, like, if someone actually genuinely wants to,
oh my gosh,
it's a little more exciting.
I know. Well, guys, I think we've taken up enough of your time. That's what Zap Chats is all about. We're just sitting down and talking about video games and talking about whatever else comes to mind. The next podcast episode is going to be on Elebits, which is a fun, cutesy Wii title. We're not streaming that, so if you want to see gameplay of it, you'll have to look elsewhere.
Or ask.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, maybe... Oh, actually, no. We played that as a thrift shop game, so we do have video footage on our YouTube channel. So check it out over there. Otherwise, we'll be streaming Final Fantasy X very soon, so make sure you're following us on all of our social media so you know when that starts up. Like I said, it'll probably be within the next couple weeks. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening and hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.